YouTube, I'm here rocking Moroccan with Michael, James, and today we're going to be talking about playing Uno using Yu-Gi-Oh mechanics, and we call it
G-Corp Uno. Since my team G-Corp, me and Radar on, came up with it. Gamescape.
Alright, so we'll go ahead and begin with the basics.
Alright, we all know what Uno is, colors, numbers. Alright, now, gonna go over real quick. If you're playing Uno and there's a color or number, you have to basically match it to move on. So if I wanted to drop another card, it had to either be the same number or the same color. It's the same one, so I do that. Or in this case, I'll just drop a 5 or something to keep going.
Now, so it's basic Uno rules.
And everyone knows Uno training, when you have multiple cards in your hand that can be dropped at the same time, as long as it's going off the first basic rules, you do it again. Like, if I want to drop 2 cards, I drop another matching color or card. Then on top of it, if it continues to chain, you can do a whole chain. That's basically called training.
And then you can put another 2 if you wanted.
Yeah, if I had another 2. As long as it's matching, you can keep dropping cards from your hand.
And then if you had a green 3, and then you can keep going up, which is basic house Uno rules or whatever. Alright. So now this is where we kick in the Yu-Gi-Oh mechanics.
Alright, basically there's hand traps in Yu-Gi-Oh. So you have your basic spell speed 2, hand traps, draw cards, skips.
Put it near the one.
Draw cards, skips, reverses, and then the most strongest one, draw 4. Well, you know what they all do. This makes you draw 2 cards. This makes you skip your opponent. This makes you reverse to the previous player before you. And this chooses the color and draws 4. I'm going to show you how to chain these. Alright, let's say this is the card up. And I'm going. I'll draw 2. Just like in Yu-Gi-Oh, it activates but does not resolve unless no one has anything else to chain to it. So my opponent has another draw. He can draw a same type of card, draw of any color. If the person next to him does not have it, they will draw 4 cards. It adds up for every number on the card.
But right now, while we're doing this, let's show them about reverses and skips at the same time.
All right, I'm going to get back into that. So let's say let's switch the color real quick. Let's say this is the card right here, and it's like 3 people playing. So I'm gonna say I'm player A, and the next one's B, and so forth. I'll draw 2. Normally you won't be able to play a skip, but if you have the same color skip as the same hand trap, you can play skip. What it will do when it starts to resolve is it will skip the person that just dropped it, so player B will be skipped with this card effect. So then this would shoot to player C. So basically, if I was to drop a draw 2, that's player A, and player B doesn't want to draw 2 cards, he drops skips, so it skips him, and then it goes over.
So then player C will draw 2 cards.
Yes, it just basically it skips your spot and go over.
But player C could also chain back to player A or B, depending on what you have.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and keep on the same chain. So let's say player A, me, drops a 2. Then player B drops a skip to skip him. Player C can drop a reverse. Now normally a reverse just kind of switches to the next player. In this case, it will reverse the draw 2. So I'm going to basically show you how it goes. So say this is sitting here, and player A plays draw 2. So player B in this direction would have to draw 2. He's like, no, I'm going to chain skip, which means you skip my spot, and player C would draw 2. And player C says, no, I'll play reverse. If no one has any more chains, it will reverse the opposite direction. So the effects of draw 2 will reverse to the player B to activate the skip, and he will draw 2 cards. That's how you chain. In a normal chain, I guess reverse is kind of like a spell speed 1 because you play reverse, you can't chain a reverse, but you can chain the skip. Well, kind of, sort of. It depends on if you're doing like a draw chain. But if you play reverse, you can't really change anything to it because it's not really going to affect the player, just change the direction of the game. But let's say if player A has a skip and he wants to skip player B can play another skip to skip skipping him. It really just lets you drop one card for free. So if player A plays skip and player B chain skip, it will skip player C and A. Or in this case, to make it more easier to understand, it will skip player C and D. It'll skip the people to the left of however many skips there are played. I guess in this case, we're going to use 3 draw cards, and then I'm going to also use other cards to make an understanding of the game later on. So let's say it doesn't really matter what cards on the field. and put. I guess we'll have like 4 people playing right now. Player A goes draw 4. Player B cannot select a card to chain until he knows the color. So player A say draw 4. I call blue. He's like, all right, since I know it's a blue, I'm gonna chain a blue hand trap. And then player C can now chain a card that's either a draw card, since this is a card that started the chain, similar to if you summon a monster, you could chain bottomless, torrential, anything that says when a monster is summoned. Basically, when a card makes you draw, any draw card can be chained right now because it's still just this card being passed around in different forms. So he's like, no, I skip this, draw 4. It's still a blue draw 4. So I either can chain a draw card, draw card to it, or I can be like, okay, well, since the last card in the chain was a skip, I still can play a skip of this color, or I can play a draw card since it is still a draw chain. That's the most confusing part, I guess, considering like it's different cards being placed on the chain. But to just explain how the scenario goes, I'll blank card. I'll say player A goes draw 4, choose color blue. All right, I know the color is blue, so we're gonna move the chain link down this way. So I skip with blue. Is it gonna resolve? No, I chain a blue.
That's a different player chaining. It's not you chaining. So
C,
this is player A, B, C.
Player D is like, do you have either an original card of the chain, a draw card, or do you have a card of the last thing? He could say, sure, I have a green draw 2. Now, we're still in a draw chain, but this color is green. So like I said at the beginning, you have to match one of the things going on to the previous card.
So this is player A, player B, player C, player D. So technically right now, player is going back to player A. So player A will have to draw 8 cards, or
he can chain a reverse. Now, reverse will say, okay, it reverses the effects of the card to the previous player. So player A will reverse it back to D. And if D has no response, he will take the effects of the previous cards. Meaning he will draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then all of them will consolidate on top of the deck. And the top card would be the last card played. And since player D was the one that drew a card, obviously in like normal Uno rules, his turn is done because you can't drop a card and put a card at the same time. So player A's turn will come about, and then the game will continue as normal.
Well, it will be player C because we reversed.
Player D was the last person to play.
It was reversed to player D.
No, like I know.
Yeah. So then player C.
Oh, true. We'll keep going. Player C will keep going. So yes, like Ray just said, if you play reverse and player A reversed it back to D, D will take the effects of the card, and since the order was reversed, it will be going back around the opposite direction. Since it was the last card played, this has the last effect taken.
Game is actually a lot simpler once you start playing it and get used to it. Explaining the rules can sound sometimes confusing, but it's a better way of playing Uno. It's a lot faster. Oh, and then explain the wild card.
Oh, now this is a very fresh rule. Which one should we explain?
We'll just make it a searcher for traps.
The searcher, all right. Wow. Normally it's kind of just like a basic card. It just lets you play any color you want, but that's boring as hell. So we have 2 rules you can choose by. Which, Raider, I feel like you should type it up and put it in the description box of how the cards go and how.
Okay.
All right. Wild can either. Let's say this is on here. I play wild. Depending on the color under it, I can search a trap card equal for the same color. So if I play wild and the last card was a green card, no matter what green it is, I can search the deck for a green trap. I keep searching and searching and searching until I find a green trap. Any green trap. Yeah. So you search these.
So a wild card can search for a reverse, a +2, or a skip. And it may sound like it's just pretty easy or whatever, but earlier I played wild and I got a +2. Mike got it, played wild and played the reverse. So that way if I played +2, Mike will reverse it right back to me to +2, and then the player to the left of me also played wild and got a reverse. So what happened was when I played +2,
no matter which way he goes with the +2, he's gonna have to eat it himself because
both players got reverses.
Yeah. And the other way to play it is, let's say I have random colored cards in my hand. Let's just say this is my hand, and this is the deck. This is a random card. The other way you can play wild, because it only has 2 rules, but not the same game. You have to decide at the beginning. You play wild if you pitch a card of a color. Let's say I pitched yellow 5, I now have to search a trap card of the opposite color, so anything but yellow. In that case, I guess I can search. I guess we already know what's here. You can search a green, a blue, a red, but you can't search yellow. And you can never, like ever, this can never search this. That's just broke. Like, it's banned. I don't know. Like, it's not in the game mechanics. It's not gonna happen. So if you just search fucking draw 4s all day, it'd be like activate WoW, I have all the draw 4s, change draw 4, change draw 4, pick the opposite color of you, grab the deck, right? But just to wrap this up really quick, you can chain cards except for reverse to the card in front of you, and it will resolve in the order it was activated, but on the person that did not have a chain. Wild 4s can be basically chained to like anything, I guess. Skips normally skips your opponent, or depending on how many skips are in the chain, it skips that many players to the left, or if the reverse play early in the game, to the right. And WoW can search any card. Either you search a WoW, search a card equal that's the same color as the top card, or you play the rules where you pitch a card and you search an opposite color. In that case, it'd be like a -1, and since the game, you want a minus in, it's kind of a good thing.
Alright, just to recap, skip has 2 effects.
Like if player A plays skip and nothing else happens, we'll skip to player C. If player A plays skip and player B plays skip, it'll skip 2 places. So it'll skip A, it'll skip C, and it'll skip A, and it'll be back to B's turn. So basically just gotta drop a card for free. If A plays, second effect, if player A plays a green draw 2, player B plays skip, it skips player B in this chain link on a draw chain link and goes to player C. Basically to make it like more visual for who draws what and how it resolves. That's the most complicated one.
Like we said, it sounds confusing, but it really isn't once you start playing it. It makes the game more fun. Instead of just all being based on luck, there's some skill involved into it. And by skill, we mean thinking. You can think more about the game and see how you can screw over.
Where the knight should draw that drop 2 of your opponent, for a fact has a skip or reverse in their hand because they searched it with a WoW.
Alright, thanks for always watching, guys. Rockin' out.